Welcome to a journey of inspiration and spiritual discovery, where the timeless wisdom of G.K. Chesterton illuminates our path. In this video, we will delve deeply into 30 of his most transformative quotes, exploring how these thoughts resonate with contemporary life, enrich our Christian faith, and guide us in our personal quest for meaning and purpose. 1. The true journey of discovery does not consist in seeking new landscapes, but in having new eyes. This quote invites us to see the world and our faith with a fresh perspective. Instead of constantly seeking external novelties, Chesterton reminds us of the importance of renewing our inner vision. In modern life, this may mean finding God in the details of everyday life, perceiving the sacred in small things. Practical example. A person may rediscover the beauty of daily prayer, realizing how this moment of intimate connection with God transforms their perception of life around them. 2. The Christian is an eternal optimist, not because everything is fine, but because he knows he stands on the side of eternity. Here, Chesterton highlights the intrinsic hope of the Christian faith. Even in the face of adversity, the Christian maintains optimism, grounded in the eternal promise. Contemporary application. In a world marked by crises and uncertainties, this quote motivates us to maintain faith and hope, reminding us that our earthly journey is intrinsically linked to an eternal destiny. Short story. Think of the resilience of a community that, despite difficulties, comes together in prayer and action, confident in spiritual victory. 3. Gratitude is the greatest of virtues and the mother of all others. Chesterton teaches us that gratitude is not just a response to blessings received, but the foundation of all Christian virtues. In the modern context, practicing gratitude helps us cultivate a thankful heart, recognizing every aspect of our life as a gift from God. Practical example. Keeping a gratitude journal where daily small blessings are recorded can transform our attitude and strengthen our faith. 4. Paradox is truth standing on its head to get attention. Chesterton was a master at using paradoxes to illustrate profound truths. This quote encourages us to question appearances and seek the deeper truth that challenges our initial understanding. In contemporary life and faith, this means accepting that the mysteries of faith often transcend human logic, inviting us to greater trust in God. Practical example. The story of Christ's crucifixion and resurrection, which defies human logic but is central to the Christian faith, demonstrates how God turns apparent defeats into victory. 5. Imagination is not meant to make us escape reality, but to help us live in it. Chesterton values imagination as a tool to more fully engage with the world, not as a form of escapism. In the context of faith, this may mean using imagination to grasp spiritual truths in new ways and apply them to daily life. Short story. Consider a group of young people who, inspired by Jesus' parables, use their imagination to serve their community in creative and impactful ways, thus experiencing the gospel practically. 6. The man who lives in a small world lives in a world larger than the man who lives in a large world. Here, Chesterton challenges us to find the infinite within the finite, suggesting that the richness of our experience is not determined by the breadth of our territory, but by the depth of our appreciation for it. In the current context, this resonates with the idea that true satisfaction and purpose are found not in the incessant pursuit of more, but in gratitude and fulfillment for what we have. Short story. Consider an individual confined to a small town or community who finds richness of life and faith through service and deep relationships with others, revealing the vastness of God's kingdom present in a limited space. 7. Fairy tales are more than true, not because they tell us that dragons exist, but because they tell us that dragons can be beaten. This quote celebrates the power of narrative and faith to illuminate the deeper truth about overcoming evil. In modern Christian life, it reminds us that while we face dragons in the form of challenges and sufferings, the ultimate victory in Christ is assured. Practical example. Sharing testimonies of overcoming and faith within the community can act as modern fairy tales, inspiring hope and strengthening the conviction that the dragons of our time can be defeated. 8. Simplicity is the ultimate sophistication. In this thought, Chesterton values simplicity not as a lack, but as an achievement, suggesting that there is a profound complexity and richness in choosing to live simply. This resonates especially today, in an era of excess and complication, where simplicity can be a path to a more authentic faith and a more meaningful life. Practical example. Someone's decision to simplify their life, letting go of material possessions to focus on the spiritual, can serve as inspiration for others in pursuit of a deeper sense of purpose and satisfaction. 9. An argument should be like a fence that has enough posts to stand up, but enough gaps to look through. Chesterton encourages us to approach dialogue and discussion in a way that maintains structure and clarity, but also allows for flexibility and broad vision. This is vital in communicating faith today, where we must be prepared to defend our beliefs while maintaining an open and welcoming heart. Practical example. In interfaith debates or dialogues, this approach can foster mutual understanding and respect, even in the presence of disagreement. 10. The madness of ignoring conventions is much healthier than the madness of allowing conventions to ignore us. Here, Chesterton values individuality and authenticity, encouraging us to live according to our principles, even if it means challenging social norms. In the context of faith, this may mean boldly following the teachings of Christ even when they go against dominant cultural currents. Short story. The story of a young person who chooses to live out their Christian values visibly and influentially, despite pressure to conform to a secularized lifestyle, can exemplify this quote. 11. Courtesy is a short sword. It is long enough to defend without becoming long enough to attack. Chesterton reminds us of the importance of kindness and courtesy as tools of defense, not aggression. In the current context, this underscores the strength found in kindness and mutual respect, especially in dialogues about faith, where empathy can build bridges instead of walls. Practical example. The story of a discussion about religious beliefs that was transformed by one participant's decision to respond with unexpected kindness, promoting deeper understanding and mutual respect. 12. The purpose of opening the mind, as well as the mouth, is to close it again on something solid. This quote challenges the notion of open-mindedness as an end in itself, suggesting that the true goal is to engage deeply with substantial ideas and truths. In the journey of faith, this can be interpreted as an invitation to explore freely, but with the purpose of deepening our understanding and commitment to Christian teachings. Practical example. The process of an individual who, after exploring various beliefs, finds profound and satisfying meaning in the Christian faith, demonstrating how open-mindedness was essential to their spiritual commitment. 13. The art of being happy lies in enjoying and liking what one has, instead of what one does not have. Chesterton encourages us to find contentment in present blessings rather than focusing on what is lacking. This principle is deeply Christian, echoing the call to live with gratitude and trust in God's providence. Short story. The journey of someone who learned to find joy in the simple things of life, such as community, prayer, and service, thereby rediscovering the authentic happiness promised by the gospel. 14. Greatness is not found in possessing strengths, but in mastering their use. This quote highlights the importance of temperance and wisdom in using our abilities and resources. In the Christian context, it reminds us that our gifts and talents are granted by God, not for our own aggrandizement, but to serve others and glorify Him. Practical example. The story of an entrepreneur who uses their influence and resources not to amass wealth, but to support charity projects and community development, exemplifying the true meaning of greatness. 15. Imagination does not create a new world, It merely unlocks what this world already contains. Chesterton encourages us to see beyond appearances, recognizing that wonder and mystery are already present in our reality. For Christians, this may mean acknowledging God's presence and action in all aspects of creation, finding the divine in the ordinary. Short story. Contemplate how a person, by deeply engaging with scriptures and prayer, begins to perceive God's manifestations in daily interactions and the beauty of nature, transforming their perception of the reality around them. 16. Anarchy is the only form of government that is artistically defensible. With his typical penchant for paradox, Chesterton here plays with the idea that true creative freedom comes from a lack of constraints. However, from a spiritual perspective, this may remind us that within the structure of the Christian faith, we find a greater freedom than any absence of law could offer, the freedom to live as we were created to live. Practical example. The story of an artist who, by embracing their faith, discovers a source of inspiration and expression that transcends worldly limitations, finding beauty and purpose in divine order. 17. The man who does not believe in himself is an atheist in regards to himself. This quote challenges us to recognize the intrinsic value and dignity that we possess as creations of God. In the Christian journey, self-confidence does not stem from ego, but from the awareness that we are loved and empowered by God. Practical example. Consider how a person's faith in their own ability, strengthened by their relationship with God, propelled them to overcome challenges and accomplish deeds that reflect divine love. 18. Men do not agree in their worship because they are divided, but are divided because they do not agree in their worship. Here, Chesterton points to the centrality of worship as the foundation of unity. In the modern context, this underscores the importance of finding common ground in shared faith, even in the face of differences. Short story, the experience of communities from different Christian denominations coming together for a common worship service, discovering in praise to God a solid basis for unity and mutual understanding. 19. Reason is itself a matter of faith. It is an act of faith to assert that our thoughts have any relation to reality at all. With this reflection, Chesterton leads us to recognize that even our ability to reason and seek truth depends on an underlying belief in the order and purpose of the universe, an order that, for Christians, is grounded in divine reason. Practical example. The intellectual journey of a scientist who sees in their faith not an obstacle, but a foundation for their quest for understanding the world, reflecting the inherent rationality in God's creation. 20. After all, the most practical thing is a good theory. This quote values the power of grounded ideas to guide and shape our action in the world. In the life of faith, this reminds us that a deep understanding of Christian teachings is vital for living authentically and impactfully. Short story. The implementation of a community project inspired by the doctrine of love for one's neighbor, showing how a Christian good theory translates into transformative practices that benefit society. 21. Tradition is the democracy of the dead. Reflection. Chesterton reminds us that tradition connects us with past generations, giving voice to their experiences and wisdom. In the context of the Christian faith, this underscores the importance of valuing and learning from the history of the Church and the saints who preceded us. This may inspire modern Christians to see themselves as part of a broader spiritual community and to respect practices and beliefs that have stood the test of time. Practical example, a Bible study group that incorporates the writings of the Church Fathers into their reflections, enriching their understanding of faith with historical insights. 22. Madness is a state of mind that affects governments, not individuals. Reflection. In this commentary on politics and society, Chesterton suggests that institutions, more than individuals, are prone to losing a sense of reality and morality. For the Christian faith, this can be a call for believers to engage critically with power structures, always grounding their actions and beliefs in the gospel, which offers a constant moral compass. Short story: the courageous decision of a faith community to stand against social injustices, inspired by biblical principles, demonstrating how faith can guide ethical action in the world. 23. It is fitting that the miracle should be unbelievable, for it is a miracle. Reflection: Chesterton highlights the extraordinary nature of miracles, which by their very nature defy rational understanding. This quote may encourage Christians to embrace the mystery and wonder of faith, recognizing that God's action often transcends human logic. Practical example: someone's experience of witnessing an inexplicable healing, strengthening their faith and renewing their conviction in the power and presence of God in their life. 24. The church is a hospital for sinners, not a museum for saints. Reflection: with this powerful metaphor, Chesterton reminds us that the church is a place of healing and refuge for all, regardless of their faults or weaknesses. This emphasizes the importance of inclusion, compassion, and forgiveness in faith communities, inviting everyone to approach God with honesty and humility. Short story: the transformation of an individual who, feeling marginalized by their past mistakes, finds welcome and acceptance in a faith community that truly lives out the gospel of love and forgiveness. 25. Imagination is not, as sometimes thought, a mere escape from reality, but a way of finding it. Reflection: this quote emphasizes the value of imagination not as an escape, but as a means to discover deeper truths about our existence. In the Christian context, this suggests that imagination can be a vital instrument in understanding the mysteries of faith, allowing us to glimpse the kingdom of God in ways that transcend the rational. Practical example: the practice of Lectio Divina, where meditation on Scripture is accompanied by sacred imagination, leading practitioners to a richer and more personal experience of encountering God. 26. The business of progress is to make the wonders of the world seem ordinary. Reflection: Chesterton criticizes a view of progress that devalues the miraculous by making it commonplace. In the spiritual context, this challenges us to reassess our understanding of progress, recognizing that true wonder lies in the ability to see the divine in the everyday. We can find God in the simplest manifestations of creation, a reminder not to lose our capacity for awe in the face of daily blessings. Short story: the experience of a person who, by disconnecting from the incessant demands of modern technology for a day, rediscovers beauty and peace in nature, human interaction, and the quietness of prayer. 27. Men do not differ much about what things they will call evil. They differ enormously about what evils they will call excusable. Reflection: this quote points to the loss of perspective and relativism that can obscure moral and spiritual discernment. Chesterton reminds us of the importance of maintaining a foundation of absolute values while recognizing and respecting diversity within truth. In faith, this translates to seeking God's truth while maintaining respect and love for those with different perspectives. Practical example: respectful dialogue among members of different Christian traditions, where, despite theological differences, there is mutual recognition of the shared pursuit of divine truth. 28. The aim of opening the mind, as of opening the mouth, is to close it again on something solid. Reflection: this quote, echoing an earlier idea, reinforces the notion that true open-mindedness is not an end in itself, but a means to engage deeply with substantial beliefs and values. For Christians, this means being open to God's truth, allowing that truth to shape and strengthen their faith. Practical example: the journey of an individual who explores various beliefs but finds a sense of home and solidity in the Christian faith, demonstrating how an open mind was crucial to their spiritual grounding. 29. If a thing is worth doing, it is worth doing badly. Reflection: at first glance, this quote may seem counterintuitive, but Chesterton is highlighting the importance of effort and participation over perfection. On the path of faith, This encourages us to act, serve, and worship, even when we feel inadequate or imperfect, knowing that our worth comes from God and not from our performance. Short story. A volunteer at a homeless shelter who, despite feeling clumsy in the initial attempts to help, persists and becomes a source of light and hope for many, learning that willingness to serve outweighs perfection. 30. The madman is not the man who has lost his reason. The madman is the man who has lost everything except his reason. Reflection. Chesterton challenges us to broaden our understanding of madness beyond mere irrationality, to include a loss of perspective and imagination. In the spiritual realm, this warns against reducing faith to mere intellectual assent or rational argumentation, recognizing that true faith encompasses mystery, wonder, and a willingness to transcend human reason. Practical example. The story of a person who, through encounters with the divine in unexpected places and experiences, moves beyond a purely rationalistic approach to faith, embracing mystery and awe in their spiritual journey. In our journey through the inspiring words of G.K. Chesterton, we've been invited to look beyond the immediate horizon, to challenge conventions, and to recognize the eternal presence of the divine in the most common realities of our lives. Chesterton's quotes, filled with wisdom, paradox, and spiritual depth, have served as beacons, illuminating the path to a richer understanding of the Christian faith and our personal quest for meaning. Reflecting on these transformative ideas, we are reminded that the adventure of faith is not a solitary path, but a shared journey, rooted in tradition, community, and a love that transcends time and space. Chesterton, with his unique vision and profound understanding of the human condition, offers not only comfort but also a challenge, to live fully with eyes fixed on the eternal as we navigate the complexities and beauties of everyday life. We conclude this exploration with an invitation to reflection and action. May Chesterton's words inspire us to embrace life with joy, to face our dragons with courage, and to seek God in the smallest parts of our existence. May we be, as Chesterton encourages us, eternal optimists, not by ignoring life's difficulties, but by knowing where our true hope resides. With these reflections in mind, we move forward in our spiritual and everyday journey, strengthened by the immortal truths found in the words of one of the most influential Christian thinkers of the 20th century. May his wisdom continue to guide, illuminate, and motivate us in our relentless pursuit of a greater purpose and a life lived in full communion with the divine, union with the divine, union with the divine, union